An-Nawas bin Salman reported that Allah's messenger made a mention of the Dajjal one day in the morning. He sometimes described him to be insignificant, and sometimes described his turmoil as very significant, and we felt as if he were in the cluster of the date palm trees. When we went to him, to the Holy Prophet, in the evening, and he read the signs of fear in our faces, he said, "What is the matter with you, Allah's messenger? You made a mention of the Dajjal in the morning, sometimes describing him to be insignificant and sometimes very important, until we began to think as if he were present in some near part of the cluster of the date palm trees. I harbor fear in regard to you in so many other things besides the Dajjal. If he comes forth while I am among you, I shall contend with him on your behalf. But if he comes forth while I am not amongst you, a man must contend on his own behalf, and Allah would take care of every Muslim on my behalf and safeguard him against his evil. He, Dajjal, would be a young man with twisted, contracted hair and a blind eye. I compare him to Abdul Uzza bin Qatan. He who amongst you would survive to see him should recite over him the opening verses of Surah Kaf. He would appear on the way between Syria and Iraq and would spread mischief right and left. O servant of Allah, adhere to the path of truth." Allah's messenger, how long would he stay on the earth? For 40 days, one day like a year, and one day like a month, and one day like a week, and the rest of the days would be like your days. Allah's messenger, would one day's prayer suffice for the prayers of day equal to 1 year? No, but you must make an estimate of time and then observe prayer. Allah's messenger, how quickly would he walk upon the earth, like cloud driven by the wind. He would come to the people and invite them to a wrong religion, and they would affirm their faith in him and respond to him. He would then give command to the sky, and there would be rainfall upon the earth, and it would grow crops. Then in the evening, their pasturing animals would come to them with their humps very high, their udders full of milk, and their flanks stretched. He would then come to another people and invite them, but they would reject him, and he would go away from them, and there would be drought for them, and nothing would be left with them in the form of wealth. He would then walk through the wasteland and say to it, "Bring forth your treasures," and the treasures would come out and collect themselves before him like the swarm of bees. He would then call a person brimming with youth and strike him with the sword and cut him into 2 pieces, and make these pieces lie at a distance which is generally between the archer and his target. He would then call that young man, and he will come forward laughing with his face gleaming with happiness. It would be at this very time that Allah would send Jesus, son of Mary, and he will descend at the white minaret in the eastern side of Damascus, wearing 2 garments lightly dyed with saffron, and placing his hands on the wings of 2 angels. When he would lower his head, there would fall beads of perspiration from his head, and when he would raise it up, beads like pearls would scatter from it. Every non-believer who would smell the odor of his self would die, and his breath would reach as far as he would be able to see. He would then search for him, Dajjal, until he would catch hold of him at the gate of Lud, and would kill him. Then a people whom Allah had protected would come to Jesus, son of Mary, and he would wipe their faces and would inform them of their ranks in paradise. Under such conditions, Allah would reveal to Jesus these words, "I have brought forth from amongst my servants such people against whom none would be able to fight. You take these people safely to Tur." And then Allah would send Gog and Magog, and they would swarm down from every slope. The first of them would pass the lake of Tiberias and drink out of it. And when the last of them would pass, he would say, "There was once water there." Jesus and his companions would then be besieged at Tur, and they would be so much hard-pressed that the head of an ox would be dearer to them than 100 dinars. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions would supplicate Allah, who would send to them insects which would attack their necks, and in the morning they would perish like one single person. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions would then come down to the earth, and they would not find in the earth as much space as a single span which is not filled with their putrefaction and stench. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions would then again beseech Allah, who would send birds whose necks would be like those of Bactrian camels. They would carry them and throw them where God would will. Then Allah would send rain which no house of clay or the tent of camel's hairs would keep out, and it would wash away the earth until it could appear to be a mirror. Then the earth would be told to bring forth its fruit and restore its blessing, and as a result thereof there would grow such a big pomegranate that a group of persons would be able to eat that and seek shelter under its skin. The milch cow would give so much milk that a whole party would be able to drink it. And the milch camel would give such a large quantity of milk that the whole tribe would be able to drink out of it. The milch sheep would give so much milk that the whole family would be able to drink out of it. At that time Allah would send a pleasant wind which would soothe people even under their armpits, and would take the life of every Muslim. Only the wicked would survive, who would commit adultery like asses, and the last hour would come to them.